3 men on, 2 men out. 4-3 Giants. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out at 100 miles an hour. He reached back, got a little extra, and blew it right by him, right down the middle, just above the knees. And the Giants end their losing streak and their first game without either Tyler Rogers or Camilo Doval. They win it in extra innings over the Mets. The final score, it was the Giants 4, the Mets 3.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey. And as the calendar turns to August 1st, the San Francisco Giants snap a 6-game losing streak in really a tough battle today at Citi Field in New York. And now they're 55-55, back to the 500 mark. And it was a battle. There was no question about this, all the way down to a 100-mile-an-hour fastball by Randy Rodriguez with bases loaded against Ronnie Mauricio. I knew I'd get it. Mauricio. And if you remember, Mauricio hit a home run off of Rodriguez back when they were here last weekend. So a little back and forth there, but he threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball on a 1-2 count and caught Mauricio swinging through it. And what an exciting 10th inning that was, even on the offensive side for the Giants, when Dominic Smith came up and got a nice base hit up the middle to take the lead. And the Giants were right back battling. Boy, they battled the whole game today. They got 2 runs in the second, 1 in the 7th. And the Mets just came right back with 1 in the 7th to 2 in the 8th inning. A couple really tough calls right there. A 3-2 pitch on Nemo by Lucchesi, and I thought it was strike 3. I think everybody saw it was strike 3. That pitch was a strike most of the day, and he called it a ball. And then a ground ball by Soto up the middle, and Lucchesi caught a foot on it and bounced into left field. Some bad luck right there in the 8th inning, and the Mets tied it up, and it went right into the 9th inning. Ryan Walker had a nice 1-2-3 inning. Ryan Helsley, the new pitcher from the St. Louis Cardinals, now with the New York Mets. They battled through it, 3 strikeouts. They had a couple hits in that inning. And then it came into the 10th inning, and they finally got to Edwin Diaz. His first loss of the season. He's 5-1. And Dominic Smith, the ex-Met, comes through again, and he hit that ball really nice up the middle. And Randy Rodriguez, now the new closer for the San Francisco Giants, as Camilo Doval is in a Yankee uniform. It was tested. He was tested by it, a walk and a hits batsman. He got through it with bases loaded, and he came through with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Reached back a little bit. You could see the little pop on that ball. But the Giants end up winning, stopping this 6-game losing streak at the last homestand. A 4-3 in the score, 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Giants, 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. But you got to go back to the beginning of this game. What a performance by Robbie Ray, going 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and he battled. He went out there in the 7th inning after he had 77 pitches, and then turned it into 85 after 6, and then it ended up coming up with 102. So when you look at what he did in the performance level on pitches, 17 in the first, 13 in the second, 18 in the third, 18 in the fourth, 11 in the fifth, 8 in the 6th, and then the 7th inning where he compiled 102 pitches, 68 first strikes. And he gave up a home run to the polar bear, Pete Alonso. That was in the 7th inning, a 2-0 fastball. Threw him a couple curveballs down and away, down and in, and then he launched a fastball about 94, and the polar bear didn't miss that one. 2 times before that, Pete Alonso struck out on elevated fastballs, and he tried to throw him a couple breaking balls, and he got behind, and Alonso didn't miss it. He has his 23rd home run of the year. But the Giants prevailed, and this is something they needed to do. They needed to get a new clubhouse feeling with all the trades, the new faces. Of course, some new faces, Grant McCray, Kai-Wei Tang, both came up from AAA. Jose Bruto, who came over from the Mets in the trade with Rogers. Christian Koss is back up. He hit over 300 in AAA. Brett Wisely got sent down to AAA. So a lot of new faces. This is what happens. You get a new faces, you get some new momentum, and this was a start that they needed. They needed to get off that 6-game losing streak. And now you got a couple rookies going tomorrow. Kai-Wei Tang will throw Saturday, and Carson Wisenhunt will throw Sunday. So this is what you're going to see in the rotation, as they did not get a starting pitcher, so they're going to have to fill it in. Kai-Wei Tang has really been pitching well. 25 games he's pitched in Sacramento. 4 games started, 54 innings pitched, only giving up 39 hits. An earned run average right around 3.6, 86 strikeouts. He's going to be around the plate. It's just about what he's going to feature against a very strong New York Met team. All right, let's take a break. 415-808 KNBR. Let's get on the phone line about this game. Can talk about the trade deadline. And tell me what you think of this Giants team now moving forward. 52 games left in the season, and they're 55-55. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
So Adames comes down the line from third, and here's Diaz to the plate. Swing and a line drive up the middle into center field. Base hit. And the Giants go back ahead 4-3. So they get their automatic runner home. And Smith got it done right away.
Here's your host, Bill Laskey.
All right, welcome back to Sportsphone KNBR on a Friday, and we're going to have a fun show today as the Giants break their 6-game losing streak. Also, they broke an 8-game losing streak. The teams that played 500 or over, they're now 30-30 on that. But I just think this is the first game that the Giants needed to fight for, and they did. They fought hard in this game. To watch Randy Rodriguez load up the bases, calm the waters down, and throw 96, 98, and 100. We've been talking about Randy Rodriguez as a closer, and I think we saw that in the Colorado series where he came in and he just didn't have it. Too many thoughts going through his head, and you were wondering today if this was going to be the day, and he did. The confidence right there just sparked, and that's what you need. That's the second save of the year. But you saw a little bit more of intense. You saw the intensity with him. You saw the focus with him. Got out of the rhythm a little bit on a walk and a hits by pitch to Lindor. But he came back and fought and won this game. And you could see the smile on his face. Patrick Bailey was really, really animated for him. And this is the start the Giants needed to get out of home, get out of the losing streak, get on the road. And you're playing a really tough team. The New York Mets, of course, they're 62-48 now with that loss. But when you look at what they do at Citi Field after today's loss, they're 37-17, 20 games over 500. So a good start for the road trip, 2 more, and then they go to Pittsburgh for 3. And the Pittsburgh Pirates came out of the block today and scored more than 10 runs after they pretty much cleaned their clubhouse yesterday. But today was a good start. So let's get on the phone lines. Got a lot of calls coming in. Let's go to John in South City. John, a good win by the Giants. What'd you think of the game?
Hey, Bill. How are you? It's a great win. The Giants win. They finally end that losing streak.
That was huge. I thought that was huge. And the way they fought in that 10th inning when Dominic Smith got the base hit, that was a big run for him. And then you just wondered if Randy Rodriguez could have held him, and he did.
You're absolutely right, Bill. And I thought the player of the game of tonight is Dom Smith, is my player of the game, who came up clutch in the 10th inning, with that ghost runner with Willie at third. And that was really huge, Bill. I think they did a better job with runners in scoring position tonight. And I thought Robbie Ray pitched pretty well, darn well. And
he pitched really well.
And then also a shout out to Randy Rodriguez. It was not an easy task, and it was huge. He got those big outs. So that was really huge tonight, Bill.
Yeah, moving forward, I think that's the first one. I think that's the first one in his belt, as you say. You put that save in your belt, and you keep adding on the saves. And, that was a momentum builder for him to get over and to throw against the heart of the lineup. Nemo, Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and then Mauricio. I mean, this was not an easy task when you went right through the heart of the lineup.
You're absolutely right, Bill. And, Bill, I got to ask you a question on that Alonso swing. Do you think he swung on that pitch by chance?
Yes. Yeah, that check swing, I thought so too. I did.
Absolutely. I agree
I really
with you,
thought
Bill.
he did, and I'd like to know the other one, John. I'd like to know where the 3-2 pitch to Nemo was that Lucchesi threw. That was in the box, and he missed it. It was a little up, but it was in the box, and I thought that was strike 3. Yep, I thought that was a missed call there.
Yeah, and then tomorrow you got Kaiwei Tang on the mound. What do you expect from Kaiwei Tang tomorrow?
Well, he's throwing 4 or 5 different pitches. He has really made more pitches in his assortment of pitches. Talking to the AAA pitching coach, he said he is just dialed in, throwing strikes, throwing a lot of off-speed pitches. The focus is there. He was like their Swiss Army knife. He was in 25 games. He started 5. He finished 6. He had 2 saves, 3-2 on the year. I just think you got to give him a little rope tomorrow. I hope he just goes 5 innings. Give him 5 innings. Sunday, Carson Wisenhunt. So you got two young arms going out there against this beast with the New York Mets, and whatever you can get out of each one of them, if you can get 5 innings and be in that game still, I think that's what you're looking at. But this is the time for rookies. This is the time when you want to shine. You're getting an opportunity in New York City against the New York Mets. Hell yeah, give me the ball. I'm ready, John.
Absolutely. And Bill, I know Wilmer got hurt on that in the inning. I think it was the top of the 5th or 6th. Do you know what's the latest on Wilmer's injury?
No, I'll get it in the post-game remarks, but it looked like he might have, he didn't limp that bad off the field, which I'm glad. I'm hoping it was just maybe a tightness in his hamstring. He had a nice game today, going 2 for 3. Had a walk in the 4th inning, and making good contact all day today.
He sure did, Bill. And I also want to, I really like Wilmer a lot as a Giant, and I cannot believe it was the 10th anniversary. He thought he was traded that year when he was with the Mets. You saw tears in his eyes. He's saying, I think Terry Collins was the former Mets manager, and he told one of the guys at the dugout, he said, "You better go in that clubhouse. You better check that TV and make sure that Wilmer did not get traded." Because I remember that. He was in tears.
Oh, he was. He was playing third base. I do believe it was third base, and he just started crying. And the same thing. It happened the other day with Jose Butto in the bullpen. He broke down in tears. Yeah. What fans don't understand is when these players play for a team when they're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, that's the team they love. This is the team they want to have their whole career with. And when you get traded, the first thing you think is, oh, they gave up on me. But the opposite is somebody wants you more. And I think that's the key that a lot of young players need to understand. You got to go somewhere else. You're going to get a better opportunity, more playing time, more at-bats, more innings. And that's exactly what Budo's going to get over here. He was put right in the fire today, got out of it, but still he didn't pitch real well. I didn't see consistency that I would like to throw. He threw 10 pitches, only 4 for strikes, so that's not a good inning. But at the same time, he got out of it, gave up in 2/3 of an inning. We'll see a little bit more out of him. They were talking about his changeup's a real good pitch. He didn't have the feel of it tonight. Everything was a ball with the changeup.
Right. And then I want to talk about that trade between a couple of prospects. I think it was yesterday. I thought it was a good trade with trading Camilo Duvall yesterday with was it 3 prospects? Is that right, Bill?
4 prospects.
Right?
4
I might
prospects.
Be wrong.
Yep. 4 prospects.
prospects.
You got a couple. You got a AAA catcher, a AA pitcher, and a couple young pitchers. And coming through the board right now, Camilo Duvall just blew a save for the New York Yankees in a 9th inning today.
Wow.
Welcome to New York City, Camilo Duvall.
Yeah,
that's a tough one right there. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, I appreciate the call.
All right, John. Well, thanks for the call, buddy. Thanks for the call. Appreciate your time. Let's go to Bert in Hawaii. Bert, aloha. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Bill. Feel a lot better today. Oh, the last.
I figured a win always makes us all feel better, Bert. You know that.
Yep, and 52 more games. If we go 52-0, we should make the playoffs.
You'll be a happy boy. You'll be a real happy boy. Yeah, Camilo Duvall goes 1/3 of an inning, gives up 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. A tough first time in a Yankee uniform.
Yeah, I know.
They all did. All 3 of them. Look at Bird. I mean, look at what Bird did. Bird, who they also picked up from Colorado, goes 1/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 4 earned runs. Bernard goes an inning and 2/3, gives up 2 earned runs. So literally the 3 bullpen arms they got gave up 10 runs. That's not a good start for those 3.
Yeah. But the bad thing is we need the Marlins to lose too. They're right behind us. But it's funny. Well, like I said, 52-0.
Well, what did you think of the game today, Bert? What did you think of the Giants holding on? It was a nail biter, no question.
That was a good game. Robbie Ray did well. I was impressed with Robbie and how the Giants did, and seeing Rodriguez getting to pitch the 9th. So I mean that's what we got going forward. I guess we got the rookie coming in tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. Just a quick thing, you got all these behind the scenes things. So I just got a general question. Like when people get traded like that, let's say, Yastrzemski yesterday, he got traded he was in, New York with the Giants, and then he went to Kansas City. How do who arranges like him going from New York to Kansas City? Or
traveling secretary. Yeah, the traveling secretary does that. That's where the Kansas City traveling secretary gets a hold of the Giants, and they get him just to fly because he was going to Toronto. They played Toronto today. Matter of fact, his first at bat today hit a home run off Kevin Gausman. He had started. He went 1 for 3 today. The Royals ended up beating the Blue Jays. But everything's done through traveling secretaries. They have a gentleman. I can't remember his name. They changed it, but they travel with everybody. They do the buses, transportation, airlines. They have everything all preliminary made. And you heard the story where Tyler Rogers ended up going on the Giants charter yesterday or Wednesday night to New York. And then Jose Budo, who I think they were in San Diego, he went on the New York Mets charter. So that's very rare that happens. But I think a few phone calls back and forth, they said, go ahead and do it. And what's good about that is Tyler Rogers got to say goodbye to a lot of his close friends, have a couple beers with them. Same thing with Jose Budo. He was very upset in the bullpen when he got traded. But it's all internal, and once you're a baseball player, it's everything. It's your fraternity, and you go to a new team, they accept you. You're leaving your old friends, and that's the tough part.
So again, the traveling secretary takes care of all of that. So what about the housing part? Even the housing, the traveling secretary takes care of all of that?
Well, most of the time, right in the first part, they put you in a hotel till you figure out what you want to do. You go hotel to hotel. When I got traded to Montreal, that's all I did was live in a hotel the whole rest of the season from All-Star break. A little after that, it was the end of July. I lived in a suitcase in a hotel for almost 2 full months. And that's the easy way to do it because then you don't have to get an apartment. I was single back there. Scotty Thompson had a couple boys. They went back home. It's just so tough with families because then you're apart from them then you travel with the team, and maybe Yastrzemski's family will come to Kansas City and hang out with them there in a homestand. It's just a tough scenario for families. It's easier for a single guy, but at the same time, it's a mental strain also because now you got to check out everything you had in San Francisco if you were renting a house or a condo. Then you got to get all that shipped back. In the meantime, a lot of times the team that's trading you picks up all the travel as well as all the shipping.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I see how it works. I guess it's a lot of coordination and, a lot of things you got to figure out personally while you're playing baseball, etc. So, interesting.
It's a business. Remember that, Bert. It always comes down to the business side. Who's got the money? Who's paying for it? Whose expenses are you picking up? And the biggest thing is you're getting the players to your team as quick as you can. They usually, when you got traded, they give you 72 hours, but now they don't give you 72 hours. You're there as soon as possible. And what was good about Budo and Rogers was Thursday was a day off, so they got to come in, they got all their stuff in, got their new clothes on, new uniforms, and then today walking in the clubhouse meeting all the players. You saw Tyler Rogers in the 10th inning. I was like, wow, that just looks strange, didn't it, Bert?
Well, like I said, I only can listen to the game, so I don't get to see.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was warming up. They threw a shot of him. It just looked strange. It just did. But hey, Bert, take care of yourself. Have a good weekend, my friend. Got a couple great interviews coming up this weekend with Keith Hernandez, Ray Knight, Roger McDowell, and Howard Johnson. So sat down with them over the All-Star break and really got into their careers and what they did as a New York Met when they won the World Series. So hopefully you can listen to those. I appreciate your call, Bert. Let's go to Donovan, and he's in Medallia. Medallia, where the hell is Medallia? You there, Donovan? Hello? Donovan, are you there? Donovan,
Hello.
Donovan, we're looking for Donovan. There he is.
Donovan
Hi,
over here
Donovan.
today. It's yeah, we're right here, man. We're just, talking about that Giants pitching, I think it's a good little change there.
Good game, though, wasn't it? It was an exciting game all the way down to the last pitch. That was 100 miles an hour.
It was Giants torture. Is what it does.
You're absolutely right. I have to tell you that. I was wondering what was going to happen there too, but I was hoping for the best, and it came about, and they lost. They snapped that 6-game losing streak.
Yastrzemski, man, he hit a home run today over there in Toronto, man. I was like, wow. It's a sad thing for him to go, though. Sad.
Yeah, people leave, people come. That's what happens at the trade deadline. You get moving people, and you jump into a new uniform. They get their second life, and that's what happened to Yaz today in that first at bat against Kevin Gausman. Hit it out to right center field in Toronto.
Streaky, non-streaky. He made that catch the other day.
Right.
He jumped over the wall. That one catch, that was cool.
Gorgeous. That was one of the best catches at Oracle. I thought that was one of the best. Top five, no doubt.
That was incredible. Yeah, but the whole thing with the Giants, they leave too many, what am I going to tell you? Too many runners stranded on base. Bases loaded. It's always been that with
today,
the
runners in scoring position, I thought the numbers were bigger than what I saw. They were 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. I thought those numbers were a little, enlarged when I first looked at it. I thought they were better than that, but they really weren't. A nice double by Casey Schmidt in that second inning that drove in a run, and then, of course, the double by Patrick Bailey on an 0-2 pitch after Jung-Hoo Lee got a double, his 23rd on the year. A couple clutch hits, but they needed those, and they need to do more of it.
They need more slap hitters, too. Get up there and look for that count.
Put the ball in play, right? Put the ball in play, Donovan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instead of jumping on this first challenge fastball and you pop it up. Right, come on, man. Wait for
Donovan, thanks for the call. I appreciate it all the way from Maglia. Is that how am I saying it correctly?
Magalia. It's outside of Paradise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for calling in. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. Let's go to Isaac. He's in Foster City. Isaac, you're on with Bill Laskey on Sportsphone Friday. Giants snap a 6-game losing streak. What'd you think of the game?
Well, I thought the game was good. It's the runners in scoring position number. I think we'll look at that every night and just go, is there something we can do? Who knows? I'm not in the clubhouse.
I thought it was better than that. After the game, when I looked at it, Isaac, I said, wow, 3 for 14. I thought it was better. I thought it might have been 3 for 9 or 3 for 10, but the last couple innings, they had a few people on base. They just couldn't score.
Yeah, it's, they get that runner to second base, and they've struggled to either get him over or even just put a ball in play. Devers 4 strikeouts tonight.
That was a tough day
Giants
for him.
fans I think we all got excited. They got off to a really hot start, but I think everyone has to remember that this team was expected to go 500 at the beginning of the year. And, they landed the big trade with Devers, and I think Buster did a good job at the trade deadline, not giving up really anything of super significance. And I think what's really interesting, too, is if they want to get Tyler Rogers back, if that's something they want to do, they can, because his contract is going to be up at the end of the year. And so they got some good, decent prospects from the Mets, and he's a loner. So, if it doesn't work out for him in New York, that's something that they can try to go after and get him back in the bullpen and really shore it up.
They asked Buster Posey that yesterday, Isaac, after the trades were done, and he says, well, I don't want to do any collusion, but both of those players were good Giants, and I think that shows you that there is something that Buster Posey still believes in, both Yastrzemski and Tyler Rogers, but you're going to see a little more of Grant McCray. Of course, today, man, the first 2 at-bats goes against the 2 hardest throwers in Major League Baseball and punches out both of them on 3 pitches each. That was a tough 2 at-bats for him.
Yeah, that's a big league hang with him right there for sure. I don't envy that position. I think for most Giants fans, we're all in the kind of the same thing of, it's like, Yastrzemski was a great Giant. He just, he wasn't really getting it done. His defense is going to go down as some of the best ever to play right field at Oracle Park for sure. And sometimes it just ends up where you have to split ways. You get a guy, and I don't think anybody in the front office. I hope Yastrzemski doesn't have any ill will towards the Giants at all. I think it's going to be interesting. I think if the Giants can end up making a little bit of a push, we're going to look back at that 6-game homestand and go, what if? Because they're going to they didn't get anything, right? Obviously they were sellers, and they needed starting pitching. And I was just doing a quick little look at some of what teams were giving up for certain players, and I would have thought if they had done something, you could have traded a Camilo Duvall for like a Jarren Duran, and because the Phillies gave up next to nothing to get a closer like that, so that would have been an interesting.
Oh, they gave up two top prospects though, Isaac. Those two top prospects were pretty big on their board. Those were two solid players. The Giants, when you look at what the Giants did. Eight players they got back. 8 players for the 3 they gave back. So that was a pretty good haul.
Yeah, they did a good job. I think that's something the Giants have struggled with a little bit is really beefing up their farm system, and I think that's one of the reasons why they've struggled at the trade deadline is you obviously don't want to give up those top guys to get a role player,
right?
And they didn't have those guys that they felt like they could give up, and I think it's going to be really interesting. You get Grant McCray and you get Luis Matos, and they're going to get a lot of it back in these next 50-something games, and I think that's going to be really helpful for both of them and for Buster to look at what he's got going forward and really decide where they need to go in the offseason.
That's a great point, Isaac, and I think that's what this whole first year is, to see what his stock is, see what these guys can do, and see if they can perform at the big league level. When you look at what Grant McCray did at AAA, 260, 14 home runs, 17 doubles, 5 triples, 63 RBIs, and I think the biggest number that stands out, 26 stolen bases. So he's had a great flash in Sacramento. Today it was just tough 2 at-bats for him, like you said, to hang with him on both of them. But Isaac, good stuff as always. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your call. It's always a pleasure talking to you. All right. This is Sportsphone KNBR. I'm Bill Laskey. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more calls. Steve Kroner will join me later in the show to talk a little bit about the trade deadline as well as this game today. Giants win today 4-3. They snapped a 6-game losing streak. We'll come back with more right here on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Now the pitch. Swing. A line drive into right field. Base hit. Headed down into the corner in right field. It will roll to the wall. Coming around third is Lee to score. It's a stand-up double for Patrick Bailey, and the Giants have a 3-0 lead.
All right, back on a Friday edition of Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Laskey. That was a double by Patrick Bailey, an 0-2 pitch, lined it right down the right field line. That scored Jung-Hoo Lee. That was in the 7th inning after Jung-Hoo Lee led off that inning with his 23rd double, hitting the ball a lot better, starting to spray the ball better. He got a nice RBI in the 2nd inning with a little ground ball to short. But those were all good hits. That's what we kept saying. That's what we always say about runners in scoring position. Put the ball in play. You never know what happens. And you see the Mets doing it all the time. The Giants need to do a little bit more of that. And today they did and accomplished a couple of things. So let's see if they can continue. These are the things, as once you shake up that clubhouse, there's new voices, there's new faces. And let's see if these young players can bounce back. Grant McCray was called up. Kaiwei Tang was called up from Sacramento. Jose Bruto, of course, came over in the Rogers trade. Christian Koss came up from AAA off an IL stint with a hamstring. Brett Wisely was optioned down. A lot of four new faces in that locker room, and 3 of them left. Of course, we know that with Rogers, Duvall, and Yastrzemski. Tomorrow, 1:10, first pitch right here on KNBR. Kaiwei Tang on the hill against Kodai Senga. And if you remember that was an ESPN game when he pitched Sunday, July 27th. He went 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. And if you remember that one, Matt Chapman hit his 15th home run in the 4th and came back and hit his 16th home run in the 5th, a 2-run shot. The Giants could not hold on as the Mets scored 2 in the 7th and 1 in the 9th and won that game 5-3. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And a good game right here. Catch the first pitch at 1:10. All right, let's go to Gary in Concord. Gary, you're on with Bill Laskey on KNBR. How are you doing on a Friday?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you tonight.
Oh, I appreciate you calling in. Please, first-time callers, please call. Paul, I love that when first-time callers call. And it's more of a conversation with me, Gary, and I love to hear your input.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Bill. What a great win tonight. Way to go for the Giants to take it to the Mets at Citi Field. Let's hope for a sweep.
That would be nice.
A great win for the Bay Area.
Sweep them right back, right? Sweep them right back. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Don't forget that, Gary. They lost 3 straight to San Diego after they left San Francisco. So they've lost 4 straight. Add on, man. Let's get the 5th one tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a great win for the Giants. It's a great win for San Francisco, and it's a good. Just want to comment and say it's a good win for Papa. I think everybody out there listening is pulling for him, and we want him to pull through. Hope that we can hear him on the broadcast again. But if we can't hear him, hopefully he can let us know how he's doing on social media. Just maybe every Sunday, let us know he's still there. And, maybe
Gary, thanks for bringing that up. Thank you so much for bringing up that. Greg Papa's a very close friend of mine. I texted with him today. I didn't know the news, and we texted back and forth. He's saying prayers, please pray for me. And he's in a fight. And I kept saying, fight. You got a battle on your hands. Of course, he's got cancer, and he's not going to give up. And I think that's what we all pray for Greg Papa. A good man, a good family man. And when Vida Blue and I did TV, he was the best. He was the best anchor for us, the host. We became very good friends over there for 7 years. And, of course, after that, doing the 49ers things and just seeing him around and talking to him all the time, texting with him. And he will be missed, no question.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bill. Just one last thing on the game tonight. I don't want to comment on the trade, but I feel like it wasn't a must-win, but a good win. It brought the fight to them, and let's hope for some more wins the rest of the season. That's all I got to say, and thanks again for taking my call, Bill.
Gary,
really
thanks for the
it.
call. Thank you for the call, Gary, and thanks for bringing up Greg Papa. And I really appreciate that. And call in more. We'll talk some more baseball with you. All right, let's go to Aptos and talk to Flinks, Flinx. Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, that's perfect. That I didn't know about the Greg Papa. That kind of takes me. I kind of do a roundabout now. Like, whoa, what are the 49ers going to do for an announcer?
He was supposed to come on today, Flinks. Go ahead.
Is he still going to be with the 49ers announcing, or is he pretty much out for the year, do you think?
No, he's pulled away from the 49ers play-by-play, and he's pulled away from his radio show that's on at 10 o'clock every morning. It was announced today. He was supposed to come back from vacation, and they made an announcement and a notice saying that he's going to be battling cancer. He's in his chemo state, and I think everybody was kind of shocked by it, and at the same time, a very good friend of mine and a very good friend of a lot of people. In football, baseball, basketball, he was the best in everything he did in play-by-play.
Well, I was just going to say, regarding the game today, I was blown away. I was like, oh, my God. I was thinking, oh, my God, here we go again. The Mets are going to score 4 runs in the bottom of the 10th. I thought for sure something was going to happen, and it didn't. Rodriguez hung in there. And Duvall, I don't know, over the time that he's been on the team this year, there's times where the bases are empty, and he'll load them up, and then he starts pitching better when the bases are loaded. Duvall is kind of weird that way. Like, he would have nobody on, and all of a sudden he'd walk 2 guys, and then there'd be guys on, and then all of a sudden he'd figure out what the strike zone is and get people out. And I'm kind of disappointed that he got beat today. I feel bad for him. I'm glad Yastrzemski. I kind of root for the guys that leave. And I think the Giants are in a place where, they've got nothing to lose. Just kind of try to win each series, take each game one game at a time. Now they could just try to win one of the next 2, and then you go play the Pirates and try to kick their butt because they kicked our butt. I think they could go into the Pirates and sweep them. That could happen.
Well,
you never know.
You always hear this, Flank. When you think of game to game, win the series, this is something that they got off of, and this last homestand really knocked them off their perch. Of course, losing the first 3 games to Toronto with some momentum before the All-Star break. They win 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. They had a little momentum coming home. But the 0 for 23 runners in scoring position, those 3 games against the Mets just took them apart. And they couldn't rebound against the Pirates. The Pirates came in here on a 3-game win streak, and the Pirates pitched really well. This is something that, you look at the Pirates and you see their losing record, but they have a good pitching staff. And they kept the Giants quiet for 3 games. Today, I just love the battle of this team. Dominic Smith was the player of the game on NBC Bay Area, and they asked Laura Britt asked him, well, how's the atmosphere in the clubhouse? He says, we're not ready to lose. We're not ready down. We're not going down. We're not ready to give up the ship. We're going to fight, and we're going to continue to fight. And you hear those words, and you just look at him, and you're just like, he's very serious. And I think this team is like that. This team in that clubhouse is a solid team. There's some stars in it. They haven't been playing up to par. But when you look at the whole team, I think Buster Posey and Bob Melvin says this makeup of a team can win a lot of games. We just need to get on the right path, and today was the first part of it.
I feel like Devers, I feel like Devers, with the law of averages, he's due for a hot streak. And if he can get hot, the Giants could become very formidable. Like, they can't, if he gets hot and he starts hitting the ball, right now I don't know what's going on with Devers, but if he gets hot, that's the key. If Devers can get hot, the Giants have a chance to get back in this. It is my opinion.
I agree.
Straight out.
I agree. No, your opinion's right. And when you look at what he and Adames did today, they were 1 for 10. When you're looking at 5 strikeouts, and those 2 guys are so big in this lineup, especially when you got Devers 2 and Adames 3. And we'll just see if this team can rebound. Let's take the first game. It's a first win. Go right back at it tomorrow at 1:10, and we'll see what they can do. But thanks for the call all the way out to Aptos, Flanks. Thank you so much. Let's go to Marin and talk to Joe. Joe, you're on a Friday edition of KNBR with Bill Laskey. A good start on the road trip. Let's see if they can continue.
Yeah, hi, Bill. First-time caller also.
Oh, thanks, Joe, for calling in. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I didn't know about Greg Papa, and I consider him to be a sports encyclopedia. He talks about plays and just the most minute
Phenomenal.
detail
Phenomenal
of
memory.
stuff that happened
Yep,
20 years. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you really barreled the ball on my point, 3 for 14, and it shocked you, but it shouldn't shock you because, someone has to take responsibility for that. We have some of the best hitting players in the league, yet they're underperforming. And I just don't understand why they're keeping Pat Burrell as the coach. He was not very good. In fact, he stunk when he came back to the Giants as a designated hitter. And frankly, I think he stinks as a coach because if he was coaching a little bit better, maybe these batters would be hitting a little bit better.
Well, Joe, I'm going to throw a wrinkle in your thoughts here. These guys, when you look at Burrell, you look at Minor, you look at Bernard, all three hitting coaches can do all they can before the game. They prepare them. They do live BP. They do cage work. They prepare them the best they can, and then the player has to go out and perform. The coaches don't perform for the player. I've gotten a couple, rhubarbs with a couple of the callers. You can't just blame hitting coaches and pitching coaches for performance. And when you look at what the team's doing, under 235 batting average as a team, it's not like it was, Joe, where these guys look for batting averages. You only have 300 hitters in Major League Baseball. They don't look for high averages anymore, Joe. They look for velocity. They look for swing pass. They look at see how hard the ball comes off their bat. They're looking to drive the ball every time. They're not up there choking up trying to go the opposite way. I think you, Joe, and myself, that's what we think they should be doing. But the game has changed, and the game has changed in the analytic way where they come in, they're looking at the iPad, they're looking at the pitch, but they're also seeing how hard they hit the ball, where they swung at. Was the swing path, was it going higher for a ball that could be out of the ballpark? I go back to this game against Pittsburgh where Ramos came up and swung as hard as he could, was second and third and 2 outs, and swung and missed the 3 elevated fastballs. He never cut his swing down. All you were looking for was a base hit. But in his mindset, Joe, this is what they teach. This is how they come. This is how they go to bat every at bat. Now, a Jung-Hoo Lee is finally cutting his swing down and putting the ball in play. That's the kind of guy that we need that. But when you look at power hitters, they're not going to cut their swing down, Joe. And you and I can go back and forth 100 times, and this isn't the old days. This is the new way of hitting. And the new way of hitting, you can't blame Pat Burrell. You can't blame Damon Minor. They're trying their best to prepare these hitters until they go in that box.
Well, I think swing path, what you brought up, is one of the things. If a hitting coach sees that the swing path is an issue, then they help the batter with that. And it just seems like that's not happening. But
yeah, it hasn't happened consistently. You see it sometimes, But, the other thing, Joe, you get these guys that have played 7, 8, 9 years in the big leagues, and I can tell them till I'm blue in the face, and they're not going to listen to me because they're like, I was successful for 8 years in the big leagues. I know what I'm doing wrong. I know what I need to correct. And that's the hard part of any hitting coach or pitching coach. You have to kind of trend waters and kind of talk to them in a manner where they're going to listen. You can't scream at them anymore. You're not going to flip over tables and get all upset. Doesn't happen like that anymore. It's all about analytics, the iPad, and how they can produce runs. And the swing pass, like you and I just said, sometimes these swing pass you and I are watching, and they're missing the ball by a couple inches. It's not even close.
Right. And the last point was I think Bob Melvin is a little too loyal sometimes. And that, I think, comes into play into the torture kind of
well, there's a lot of communication there, too. Joe, there's a lot of communication that he has with players. You may not hear about it. He said it when they were losing. We've had meetings upon meetings upon meetings. We've talked to players one-on-one. When Elliot Ramos on the infield fly rolled, the next day he said, I had a one-on-one with Elliot Ramos. I said, do you need a day off? I think you need a day off. Clear your head. Elliot Ramos says, I don't want a day off. I want to perform and get better at what I do. So you got to gauge what the player wants to do and gauge what his feelings are. it's difficult when you don't have a strong bench also. And I think that's where people go, why didn't somebody else play? Well, you're going to see a Luis Matos. You're going to see a Grant McCrae. You're going to see some young, talented players. Can they hit in a big league level? Right now, Matos is not hitting the ball at all. Swinging like he did with a runner on second base, I just shook my head when he struck out at that ball. It was almost over his head.
Well, you made another point for me. It's managing the game, and when a player says, when a manager says, "Hey, take a day off," and the player says, "No, I want to be out there," then who's managing the game? Is it the player or is it the manager?
You're hearing your player now, but you got to understand, Ramos has the best hitting average on your team. He's hitting close to 270. There's nobody like him on the team. Devers is now hitting 252. You go right down this lineup. Adames 236, Chapman 235, Flores 250, Schmidt 242, Lee 248. You don't have much to throw in there for him. So the only thing I don't like, I wish I would see Elliot Ramos hit a little lower. I don't think, and this is my opinion, Joe, is I don't think he's a leadoff hitter. I think you got to put him down in the order and maybe bring Jung-Hoo Lee back up or somebody else that can lead off. I think Ramos, if he pushed him down a little bit, but they're stuck on what they want to do with him. They're stuck with putting him out there. And like I said, he's their best batting average on the team.
Well, it'd be nice to get starter pitching's a little more wins, a few more wins.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Robbie
today,
Ray pitched a hell of a game, didn't he?
Hell of a game, and he didn't win, and it's that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is if they would hit a little bit better through the coaching, through the managing, and to your point, through the player, maybe torture would not be a part of our MO.
Yeah, Joe,
So,
I think we all think that. I think we all want that. Giants fans want that. I want it as an analyst. I want to see him win. I want to see him. I haven't seen a 10-1 game or a 14-run blowout all year. That's what I would love to see happen. And if you can get something like that to happen, you are going to grasp that and move forward. They did it in Atlanta. The last two games, they hit the hell out of the ball. But when it came back to the New York Mets series, it wasn't there. So the inconsistencies continue. But I'm right there with Joe. I wish they could hit better. I wish the batting average were up. And I hope the hell they win some more games. But, Joe, thank you so much for calling in for the first time. A lot of good stuff, and call in more. Appreciate your time today. Let's go to Big Sam out in Lake Merced. Big Sam, how in the hell are you? Giants win. It's August 1st. What'd you think?
It's a foggy night tonight, and I'm listening to you, and I'm having a good time. Just before we talk a little bit, I do want to send my prayers to a fellow Libra and a great man, and my thoughts and prayers to Greg. And I know he's going to fight this like hell. I just recently had a childhood friend from middle school, was a great high school baseball player and a very good college player that fought and lost his life at 52 of brain cancer. So my prayers are to him and his family and to his loved ones. I know he's a magnet to not just KNBR family and listeners, but to the sport and all the sports that he's involved with.
Well,
so
Big Sam, I've worked with that man, and I work with that man. He doesn't shut it off. He doesn't sleep much. He is constantly looking at videos, films. He is the best for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he's fantastic at play-by-play. You heard him with the Warriors. You heard him with the Giants and the A's. You've heard him on pre- and post games. A quick story, the first show that Vita Blue and I did with him, he came on and just started rattling like he always did. And we went to break, and I looked to see what the teleprompter was, and I said, the teleprompter's not even on. And he goes, no. I go, well, where'd you read all that? And he goes, I didn't read anything. And I looked at Vita, and Vita looked at me, and we said, we got to get out of here. Because it was just like, wow. He was magnificent, and it just continued show after show. He's the best, and I can say that.
And, he started at 22 years of age. He got into broadcasting right out of Syracuse.
That's right.
let's kind of give him his time and give him his time to heal, and I'm sure God willing,
like all the prayers can go for him. The prayers are needed for him, and right now, thanks for bringing that up, Big Sam.
I'm glad we linked up, and I'm glad we met a few times, and I value your friendship, and I really enjoy your show, and I really mean that genuinely.
I appreciate it. Big Sam, you're part of it, man. All these callers are part of it, Sam. All the callers that call in, the first-time callers tonight had a couple good ones, and I always say that, Sam. First-time callers call up. This is conversation between you and me and the airwaves, and I think that's what more and more people are ready to pick up the phone and talk, and I think that's a big part of being a Giants fan.
Let me tell you, your callers are bringing it. You got some astute callers tonight. And when I spoke about, tonight's topic, and obviously you take a win any which way you can get. And I spoke with your producer, and what he wanted to talk about. I said, you got 50 games plus or close
left.
to that. 52 games left. I really, really think this team is gonna, look, we've got nothing to lose. I think they are probably going to come together and say, where are we here? And I like what Dom Smith said. And you're a pro, Bill. The likes of Bob Lurie and Al Rosen, Mr. McGowan to Larry Baird,
Sure.
and, now with Buster at helm, I really think it hurts him because he thinks it hurts him, but in a psychological way, we got to come together and say, he as a front office guy and say, look, we are not ready to give up. I want to be able to see what these players of mine, young, old, veteran, whatever the case may be, call-ups, what do we have? What do I have to look for 2026 so that maybe I can acquire another big splash or two or three, and I have a better idea with these 50-plus games remaining, and then I can just kind of digest that in a, right now the team doesn't have a big appetite, and I'm with you 1,000% on I want to see the Braves. We got a slice of cake. We didn't get the whole cake. We got a bite of a 9-0 and 9-3. And
correct.
In the long run, we're going to see what this team is made of in these next 50 games. And Bill, another thing.
Go ahead.
Pat Morello's not. I mean, he's not. We hear of he needs to take a downfall. And Damon Mott. I look at when Carney Lansford was a hitting coach on this team, and man, they were quick to push that exit button. If you remember, probably about 20 years ago. And
let me just bring something in here, Sam. Let me just bring a thought in here, Sam. We talk about Buster Posey, and he takes the job, right? He takes care of president of baseball operations. You got to see what you have in stock. You got to see your big league level. You got to look at AAA, AA, single A. You got to look at all your stock. You got to look at what you did in the draft, and they did a great job in the draft. First 17 rounds all signed. So you got to move slowly. You don't want to just start tearing a team apart. I would have liked to seen if the Giants were in this, what he would have done. I would have loved to seen if he would have traded a top prospect for a right-hand power hitter or a starting pitcher. But it didn't happen. And he was on with Laura Britt and Alex Pavlovich, and they did a great conversation with him. And he goes, look, I want to win. We all want to win. We don't want to give up. But I'm not going to give up everything just for a rental player right now. I don't want to do that. But he has to take an outlook, just what you said. What is the next step? What's going to happen in 2026, 27, 28? He's got to look at the stockpile he has and understand where he has to get needs at. In the trade with Duvall, picks up a catcher. We know they're short on catchers. Picks up a couple young arms. We're short on young arms in A-ball and AA. He picked up another hitter and an outfielder from Tennessee that was the #1 pick from the Houston Astros. He has picked up some good players in these trades, and it's stockpiling his minor leagues. We haven't had that in a long time. If you remember all the way back, you go back
I'm
in
gonna
years,
go one more.
Sabian really drained the minor leagues, but he won 3 World Series.
Bill, I'm going to go one more, and I'm pretty sure buddies and friends, and I'm almost certain if my time is not off in terms of the last few years, I'm going to look at one, and then you could roll with this any which way you want. I'm going to talk about real briefly about one Scott Harris, and I'm sure that Buster is in a friendly way, not jealous, but Scott Harris just took over the Detroit Tigers maybe 3 to 5 years ago. And where was he before? He was
right here
in San Francisco. And look, the wonders that he's – and what makes you think Buster can't do that? I think he can, Bill. Hey, that's my time. All the best, Bill.
Yeah.
Always
Sam,
love to
thanks
talk
for the
to you,
call,
man.
buddy. It's always a good conversation with you, Sam, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. Hey, put a parka on or put a hoodie on, man. Stay warm. All right, let's go to my buddy up in Portland. Greg, you're good. How are you tonight, Greg? And Giants win. They break a 6-game losing streak. What'd you think of everything today, Greg?
My throat dried out here. Hold on.
You good now, Greg? Okay, he's back. He's back.
There we go. Lubricated my throat.
Good job, Greg.
Yes, indeed. The win, everything was nice. I watched the game. I wanted to listen to your show last night about all the trades. And I, first of all, Bill, you are so good on the phone. You deal with the old timers, the regulars, and then the new, the new callers.
New callers. Greg, to me, and I always say this, it's a phone call. It's talking to Bill on a phone call over the airwaves, and I want you to talk to me. I don't want you to come in here and rip me or rip the team. I'm not going to have that. I'll listen to you, and just like I do, Greg, I'll listen to you, listen to your thoughts, and then we discuss it. And I think that's what talk radio is supposed to be. And over the 6 years I've been doing this, I've gotten better at it, and I love talking to Giants fans. I love talking baseball, as you know, Greg. And the whole key here is to have the Giants win. We're a Giants station here. We talk about the Giants. We talk about moves. We talk about front offices and coaches and players. But in the long run, I'm a fan just like you are, Greg. I'm a fan just like every caller coming in here. The Giants are 500. Am I happy with it? Hell no. I wish they were 10 over, 15 over. It's just not playing out that right now.
Well, anyhow, as I was on hold, I listened to you again, and just kudos. You do a good job on the, and everybody does.
Thanks.
At KNBR. Great radio crew. Anyhow, I wanted to comment on Yaz and that trade, and he's older. He's going to be a free agent. I understand it, but the Giants will miss him for his great outfield play. He's always been a streaky hitter. He's on maybe the weakest hitting team in the entire Major League Baseball. So it's aggravated. And, of course, the Giants 10 days ago were in it. Now they're essentially not. I understand the trade, but we will miss him in the short term and maybe a little longer for the outfield play. And this team,
he was fantastic.
I've been calling and talking to you for quite a while.
Right field, he was
this
just
team
the
has
best
lacked
out there.
good outfield play more often than not over the last 4 or 5 years. And I understand the change, but I don't think Matos will ever master the position. And I wonder, and of course we got these new guys who we know nothing about. At least I don't. And, we got down in Sacramento, we got Johnson and Meckler. And
well, you're going to probably see Grant McCray play tomorrow. You're going to see Grant McCray play tomorrow because Singo's a right-hander, so you'll probably see him in right field. That's probably what we're going to see in right field, a mixture of Matos and Grant McCray. I think that's what they're going to look for, and I don't see McCray playing center field. Jung-Hoo Lee's going to be out there. Matos and Grant McCray, they're going to be righty-lefty combination and see what they can do, because I think it's time And, McRae's 24 years old. Matos is 23 years old, Greg. So we want to push these guys and kind of rip on them a little bit, but they're still puppies. They're still young, aggressive rookies. And that's what we have to kind of wait and see how they progress.
Well, there's all this criticism of Burrell and the batting coaches, but I'm looking for the coaching staff. I'm talking a college, high school term here, to work with these young outfielders that are 23 and develop them into good outfielders. Matos is a hitter already, but we need good outfielders. And let's teach these young bucks how to play, because I haven't seen it over 5 and 6 years.
Yeah, the consistency. When you remember the first couple months of the year, they were 1-2 with the least errors in Major League Baseball. They were playing clean baseball all the way through month of May. And then June, they start throwing a ball away. When Chapman got hurt is when everything kind of faltered and went backwards. Now they're probably 20th, maybe in 25th in the most errors in the league. And it's got to get better. And you're hitting right on the head here, because they do have to play better outfield. They do have to be cleaner. And I tell you, Casey Schmidt's getting a little bit better at second base. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think the infield is going to be okay. I know Wiseman's in Sacramento, but I like him too. And it's the outfield play. It's been there, like I said, 4, 5, 6 years, and you need good outfielders. And you got to teach these guys.
Well,
and,
don't forget, Greg,
and the rest of them,
defense and pitching. Pitching and defense is the motto for the Giants. And
Bill,
we saw a lot of pitching.
me.
We just didn't see the defense. Right?
Bill, this is the stuff, exactly. This is what I care about. The hitting usually takes care of itself on normal teams. But you got to play good defense, and you got to have good pitching. And we've had that, up until, I don't know, mid-June. And then we got hurt. That's another thing. But you got to play better. Like Ramos can't even play decent outfield anymore.
Yeah,
he's a head
struggling.
case.
You're absolutely
and
right.
forget the infamous infield fly thing. Forget that. He's been lousy in the outfield for 2 weeks, maybe 3.
It's been a little bit before the All-Star break when he started missing some balls down the line, and he bobbled a couple. He threw that one ball in Atlanta over Adames' head. Then him and Jung-Hoo Lee missed the ball in left center field. That whole Monday game when they left Toronto and they played Atlanta, that was one of the ugliest defensive games I've ever seen, especially this year.
Hey, before I hang up, talk about M's, my
what else
favorite
you got?
Unofficial. Are you there?
I'm right here waiting on you. Are you there? Did you hang up? I guess he did. I guess, Greg, I was waiting for it, and you hung up on me. That's all right. I'll catch you this weekend when I do the extra inning post-game show. A lot of great calls. Love the first-time callers. I appreciate you picking up the phone and calling me on a Friday night. Giants win today, 4-3. They're now 55-55 on the year, and they break a 6-game losing streak. Coming up next, I'm going to sit down and talk to my buddy Steve Kroner. We'll examine this game a little bit more, tell his thoughts on the trade deadline, and that's coming up right here on Sportsphone KNBR on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
And Peterson pitches. Swing, line drive down the left field line. That's in there. Base hit. It will roll through quickly into the left field corner. Chapman in to score. Flores heading for third. And into second with a stand-up double. Casey Schmidt. 1-0 Giants. So Schmidt did not wait long, and he knocks in the first run of the game.
Back on a Friday edition of Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey. John Miller calling a double by Casey Schmidt in the second inning, his first at bat. And Jung-Hoo Lee followed it with a ground ball to short, getting an RBI. The Giants scored 2 runs in that second inning. But we haven't really talked about Robbie Ray that much tonight, and Robbie Ray threw a hell of a game. So let me bring in my buddy Steve Kroner, and he and I will chat about it. Steve, how are you on a Friday night?
Bill, I'm doing fine. Before we get into it, I just want to echo, I know what you and a few of your callers have been saying. Good thoughts for Greg Papa. KNBR announced this morning, as you have already said, that Greg is dealing with cancer and he's pulled off his broadcasting duties for the time being anyway. So just echoing what you and the callers have said, good thoughts for Greg, Godspeed, and hope he can get through this.
Yeah, that's great to say, Steve, and I think a lot of fans are just hearing about it through the airwaves tonight, and it was brought out today. He was supposed to start, of course, today and Monday, come back on the show. He was on vacation, and the announcement came out. So now it's more family time, private time, and everybody praying for a recovery. But today,
Absolutely.
I think, Steve, this was a game itself that the Giants need to win. Of course, a couple of things that happened in the 8th inning, a 3-2 pitch that I thought was a strike, and then a ball off his foot, Lucchese. A couple hard things that happened, and the Giants lost the lead. But for them to battle and then see a young right-handed Randy Rodriguez put the win away, I thought that was impressive.
You know, if you're not a fan of the Giants or the Mets and you're simply a fan of baseball, that was a hell of a game, one way or the other, however it was going to end. Yeah, and I think both teams would say there were some bad calls that went against them. Yeah, the pitch to Nimmo, that 3-2 pitch certainly looked like a strike, but the pitch to the Polar Bear looked like ball 4, and
in
that
the 10th
was
inning.
In the 10th inning. So you know, there were some really good plays on both sides. The double play that Adames turned in the end of the 3rd inning on Tyrone Taylor's ball up the middle, that was a hell of a play. So just all in all, it was a really entertaining baseball game. And let's be honest, over the past week or so, the Giants haven't played too many entertaining games.
Well, and I think, like I just said, we didn't touch much about Robbie Ray. He goes 7 innings, only giving up a home run to the Polar Bear. And I thought he pitched out of a couple jams, too. He threw 102 pitches. He threw 44 fastballs. The high was a 95. Threw 27 sliders, 89-90. That's the speed on those. Good sharp break. The curveball was 20. Threw 20 of those. Really nice off speeds, 82, 81. And then the changeup, which he threw a dozen times, and they were probably 84, 85. So when you look at the majority of his pitches, he did pitch exactly like he did, adding the changeup, adding an off-speed curveball. It's a knuckle curveball. But at times, man, he pumped some high-leverage fastballs, and, of course, striking out Alonso twice before he hit the home run with elevated fastballs. He pitched a hell of a game for him tonight.
Yeah, he sure did. And the pitch count was a little high. It wasn't terrible, but I think that the 6th inning, he really breezed through that inning. He struck out Soto to end that inning. I think if he had not had a quick inning in the 6th, he might not have come out for the 7th. But considering the way the game went, the Giants went to 10 innings to have to win the game. I think getting that extra inning out of him, even though Alonso did it to homer, that was big for the Giants tonight, and it could be big for the Giants for the rest of the weekend, probably saving at least one arm out of that bullpen.
Absolutely right. And in that 6th inning, 8 pitches, Steve, 8 pitches he threw that inning. He was okay, 17, 13, 18, 18, 11, and 8. The numbers were pretty good, but he did wiggle in and wiggle out of a couple opportunities where the Mets could have scored. I thought it was huge in the 5th inning with 2 base hits. It was first and second, and he ended up getting Taylor to ground out to Chapman, which was a tough play. Those are all key points when you're throwing a shutout as he was. And this was a game the Giants needed him to get linked. You just brought it up because we just don't know what Kaiwei Tang's going to give you tomorrow. And then, of course, Carson Wisenhunt on Sunday. So you're so right in saying how deep he could get in this game. And you've got a good, strong bullpen now.
And I'll tell you, you mentioned, Robbie Ray wasn't mentioned enough for his performance tonight. Another guy I don't think has been mentioned enough tonight, and he's going to be relied upon quite heavily, is Ryan Walker. He looked really good in the 9th inning, and they're going to need him to. He's now probably the setup man again. And depending on how Randy Rodriguez does in the closure role, it wouldn't surprise me to see Ryan Walker get a few save opportunities again. He looked really good. And, Ryan Walker has had a really up and down season. He's looked good at times, and he's looked not so good at times. But if he can get back to where he was, that will be big for Bob Melvin, J.P. Martinez, and the Giants staff as a whole because, losing Tyler Rogers and Camilo Doval, that bullpen, which has been a strength for 3+ months of this season, now I don't know that it's a weakness, but it's certainly a question mark at the moment.
Well, new faces and new roles. That's one question that I think Bob Melvin and J.P. Martinez are trying to figure out. You're going to see a little more of LaCasey. I think LaCasey's done very well. The pitch we keep talking about, that was a walk after he gets us a fly ball to center field. But let's go to Randy Rodriguez. Here's a guy that had a great season, throwing the hell out of the ball, 100 mile an hour to last pitch. I just think this was a good confidence builder for him to get out of that inning, to get the win, and you are the new closer. We saw it in Colorado in that 4th game in Colorado. He got nervous. He couldn't throw strikes. And today he was in and out with the ball-strike ratio. But in the long run, he threw 16 pitches, 8 for strikes. Not a great number, but when he had to flash, he flashed, and he really did.
What did Frank Sinatra say? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. New York, New York. So it would come into a game with the tying run on second base, facing the top of the order of the Mets, and to get out of it one way or another, that's got to be a feather in the cap for Randy Rodriguez. And
how loud it was? How loud it was at Citi Field? I mean, that place was loud tonight. It was packed. They had fireworks night. I mean, he put that whole thing on his back, and you could see the relief out of him and Bailey, Steve, when he struck him out with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, that was impressive. And again, going back to some calls that went one way or the other. Look, the pitch that was strike 2 to Alonso probably was ball 4, but I'm with you. I really thought he swung at what was called ball 4. And the telecast, sadly, did not really have the good angle. Usually with a right-handed hitter, you get that angle from the first base side that you can get a much better view of whether the call was correct. The above angle from home plate doesn't necessarily give you a great look, but for him to have thought he struck out Alonso to win the game and not do it and then come back and get Mauricio, in some sense, that's even more impressive than striking out Alonso would have been.
That voice you hear with me tonight is my guest, Steve Kroner, on Sportsphone KNBR. Of course, Steve follows Associated Press and Baseball America, does a great job on both of them. The other thing, Steve, is, you're talking about runners in scoring position again. I really was surprised when I saw 3 for 14. I thought it was less than that. But they still got 3 nice hits to score some runs today, and it really happened with Casey Schmidt getting a double. Jung-Hoo Lee gets a ground ball to short. I really thought that was a good start for this game. And, of course, 2 runs held on, and then they added another one in the 7th. And then the inconsistencies, I would say, in the 8th inning with a couple blunders, and next thing you know, it was 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the number can be a little deceiving because, look, 3 for 14, no way around it. That's not great. But one of the 11 outs was what you mentioned, Jung-Hoo Lee, at least putting the ball in play with 2 strikes to get a runner home from third with less than 2 outs. So some outs are better than others. And of those 11 outs, the ground ball that Jung Hoo Lee hit in the second inning was a productive out. So even though he didn't get a hit, you can tip your cap there. The Giants did late in the late innings, they did strike out quite a bit with runners in scoring position. And again, sometimes you have to tip your cap. When you're facing Helsley and Diaz, you're going to strike out sometimes. Those guys are pretty damn good. It would have been nice if you're a Giants fan to see maybe somebody else put the ball in play against them. But the Giants aren't the only people who strike out against Ryan Helsley and Diaz.
Steve Croner joining me for a few more minutes on Sportsphone KNBR. Yesterday, I know you probably were watching baseball tonight and baseball on MLB Network and listening to KNBR for a lot of the trade deadlines. What did you come about when you heard the whole thing and the day was over? What was one of the intriguing trades that you thought?
I think to me, the most notable trade was the A's sending Mason Miller to San Diego and J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears is not a top-of-the-line starter, but he's a solid starter. And the talk then was, well, if the Padres are getting those guys, they must be dealing somebody else. Dylan Cease was, I think, the name most mentioned. And Suarez, too. And they kept everybody. So it looks like A.J. Preller is all in. The Padres, they gave up. I can't imagine they could field two minor league teams this evening instead of the 4 or 5 they have, because they got rid of a ton of prospects. But that A's deal and the main guy, I'm blanking on his name, whom the A's got, is supposedly the third-ranked player.
Leo DeVries. Yeah, Leo DeVries.
Right.
He's 18 years old, shortstop. Yeah, very good player.
And I know some A's fans were saying, this is just like what the team has done over the past 5 or 6 seasons, and getting rid of their best players, Mason Miller being that. But I do understand it from the A's perspective. They're not going to contend this season, and if DeVries is as good as he's advertised, I think you got to make that trade. And as good as Mason Miller is, as you've seen all the relievers going back and forth in these deals over the last few days, closer is a spot that you can fill. It's not necessarily, you don't necessarily get a chance to get a guy, again, and 18-year-old players who are great prospects, sometimes when they get to 22, they aren't great prospects anymore. We don't know that DeVries is going to be great, but if he's as good as advertised, I think that deal made a lot of sense for the A's, and it shows me that the Padres are all in 2025.
What I was really surprised about was how the Minnesota Twins just changed their whole complexity of their organization. They cleaned house.
There's another one.
And your roster right now is going to be all minor leaguers, and you got a few of them that stayed. I was so surprised when I heard Carlos Correa going back to Houston. That just surprised me. A lot of money on his contract. You're talking $30 million for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I'm sure Minnesota put some money in that deal. But him to go back in that clubhouse with Altuve and the rest of them, Pena, who he kind of helped become a shortstop, I just wonder how that's going to work out.
Well, and another one that maybe the Astros are trying to go all in. It is kind of weird, too. The Astros were playing the Red Sox tonight, and the Red Sox have Bregman, who played third base, which the domino then ultimately got Rafael Devers here. And the reason Bregman played third base was because Correa was the shortstop in Houston who bumped Bregman to third. So it's kind of the old domino effect in baseball. One, there's no, these deals aren't made in vacuums, and there can be a domino effect. So, I don't know that the Astros are going all, to me, as much all in as the Padres are. But, that was a surprise. And let's go this way, too. The Giants certainly didn't add, but I don't think the Giants went all out either. The team they have, theoretically, is still able to contend if it were to get hot, where the Twins are raising 2 or 3 white flags. They got rid of basically a third of their major league roster almost. So,
you're right.
I think the Padres are all in and the Twins are all out.
And then when you look at each division, the Mariners got stronger, Texas got stronger, and of course Houston too. So those are your three top teams in the AL West. You start going around. Detroit picked up 7 pitchers, 7 of them. And they're struggling a little bit in Detroit lately. And then you come into the National League, the New York Mets and the Phillies were just playing ping pong. I'm going to grab him. You're going to grab him. I'm going to grab him. And it's really going to be a head-to-head matchup with those two teams. Who do you think was the winner? Who did you think, if you looked at all the teams that said, man, that team right there did the best?
If we're talking just for this season, I would say San Diego. I mean, I think San Diego, I don't know that it'll catch the Dodgers or not, but it's given itself the best chance to do so. But again, if it doesn't and things go south, or say the Padres don't catch the Dodgers and they wind up in the wild card and lose in the wild card round, to have given up as much of their future to do that would be pretty disappointing for San Diego fans. But right now, for the next 2 months, if I were to say one team that improved itself the most, I'd say the Padres.
And the Giants play the Padres 7 times in the next couple of weeks, so that should be an interesting 7 games against the Padres. But, Steve, thanks again for coming on an earlier night than we usually do on a Friday, but it's always a great pleasure talking to you.
Bill, always a pleasure. And again, I'll probably give you a call at home around 11:40 so we can discuss some of this again.
I might be sleeping tonight, Steve.
I
might have to call you. You might have to call me tomorrow. All right, Steve.
All right.
Thanks again for your time again. That was Steve Kroner on Sportsphone KNBR. As we wrap up a Friday edition, if you haven't heard, the Giants did win today 4-3 in 10 innings, 4 runs, 10 hits. No errors for the Giants, 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the New York Mets. The Giants now are 55-55 on the season. Tomorrow, first pitch right here, 1:10. Kaiwei Tang just got called up from AAA. Will be going against Konai Senga. Of course, the Giants faced him last Sunday at an ESPN game. I want to thank Kyle Harr for running the show today. Thanks Steve Kroner for jumping on with me. I will be on tomorrow, of course, the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Got a couple great guests coming on. Howard Johnson, 14 years in Major League Baseball. He's in the New York Mets Hall of Fame. We talk about his great career of 2-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, and a whole lot of things that Hojo did in his 14 years. And then I caught up with Roger McDowell. Roger McDowell was also on that 1986 World Series team. He was a pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves for over 10 years. Had a great career out of the bullpen, a nasty sinker. We talk a lot of pitching. So join me in for both of those interviews after the game tomorrow. For Bill Laskey, be safe, be well. Thank you for all calling in tonight. Please join me again tomorrow. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.